What's going on in 96? Let's start there.
Well, I was working for a place called John Anthony's in Brielle.
Okay.
Little small Italian specialty shop. My dad lived up here in Lincroft.
Okay.
Before I graduated high school, I would come in, my parents are divorced, and I would come and stay with him. And I got a job working at this place in Little Silver.
Okay.
And my boss's name is John Iacono. He phenomenal guy. He owned like an Italian specialty store. Taught me a lot in the time that I was there. I think I started working there when I was like 15, 16, 17, 18. So right after I graduated high school, I moved full time with my dad, and then I went over to Giovanni's in Little Silver, and I had a great time with him, and then he sold the business and opened a place in Brielle. And when he opened the place in Brielle in 94, and then he wound up selling the business and to someone else, and he moved out to Arizona. He was like my mentor, and with a lot of stuff in the food industry, and it just, the pieces fell together. Someone bought the business, wasn't really that experienced in the business. Some things that he was trying to change and things like that, I wasn't really too keen on, but I was also, I could appreciate it more now that I have a 20-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter, that I could see basically what it was like, back then. Like I kind of like was hot to trot, like I knew better and blah, blah, blah. So I had, got some vision or some that I can do this. And I was 21 years old, and, it's a great country. This is the best country in the world. And, a lot of times, a lot of people out there don't realize how great this country is, being an American. And the opportunity that it gives us, the opportunities that you have. I mean, you can be broke, and we literally started Joe Leone's very organic. My brother-in-law John, which is my wife's brother, he started in the company as an employee working for me, and then before we knew it, it was 2001, and he bought into the company, and he's the CFO and my vice president of Joe Leone's, my partner, and he's just a phenomenal partner. And I, the key was surrounding myself with great people. And when I look back, I get paid to do consulting. And, where people pay me to go and say, we want to open a business. We want to open a bakery. We want to open up an Italian restaurant. We want to open up an Italian specialty store. Or we want to open a deli or a bagel place. And people are paying me for my advice and my experience. But like, they come to me and be like, well, I have $600,000. I'm gonna open a business. What did you have? And I'm like, we just had work. Yeah. Like we didn't. When we opened up, it was just like, we're going to try the best we can. And I mean, I opened up literally, I had the money in the register. I had the money in the register. That's what I had. I had a couple people working for me. And what's really amazing when you talk about like an American dream or the opportunities, people started coming into Joe Leone's, and they pretty much told us what they wanted. By their request. Okay. So the foundation of Joe Leone's is our bread. I love baking bread. I'm an artisan bread baker, and we started with Joe Leone's. It's kind of like Disney World. Like everything's around the mouse. Everything's around the bread. And then people started saying, coming in, do you make sandwiches? And we started making sandwiches, and then we started making fresh mozzarella. And my uncle made fresh mozzarella. My uncle Eugene taught me how to make fresh mozzarella. And then I had went to culinary school, but CIA. Unfortunately, I couldn't I was putting myself through school. I couldn't afford to keep going to school, so I didn't officially graduate there. But it was that was tough for me. Yeah. But I learned the knowledge there. So I went to I went to culinary school. I learned the fundamentals of the business, and I kind of like said, let's keep things basic.
Mm-hmm.
So then people started asking for like, well, not really. Like they started coming in for sandwiches, and I'm like, you know what? I got a nice little lunch thing going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So we started making hot prepared foods.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started selling the deli meats that we were making the sandwiches. And then I was making cookies. And then we started making salads. And then we started making soups in containers. And, but the foundation is what I've learned at Giovanni's and a little bit at John Anthony's. And I kind of like put it together, but it blossomed and built on its own.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of work.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work. And I realized by the time I was like, it was very odd, like being 21 years old and having a brother or my brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't married yet at that time. But like 2 kids telling people more than half our age older than us, or we're half their age.
Yeah. As your
what to do as my employees. And it was like really, and, we went through that stuff, and I had realized, and I said to John, I said, we have to surround ourselves with people that are better than us in certain areas. And we have a guy by the name of Chris Garcia, Willie Garcia, Mexican descent, came here to this country, talented. I'd show them how to do something once, and they just can do it better than me. They just had very good knowledge of seeing something and duplicating it. Yeah. Then they got the ability to teach others. So I had a guy by the name of Ricky Fuentes that worked with me at John Anthony's. He came on board. We had Antonio. I mean, there's just so many people in the very beginning that really pushed. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, now we're starting to make some really good food. I got to start getting chefs in here. I got to start. We had this guy, Joe Desiderio, that was 82 years old, and he was a baker. His whole life, a bread baker, and like came into Joe Leone's and like showed us a different way of making bread, and it just evolved to that.
Yeah. I think I saw that video actually. You did a video with, was that him?
That was Didier Rosada.
Oh, okay.
That's Didier Rosada.
Yeah,
so Didier again. So then with getting to like Didier and getting to different consultants, I realized I have to bring people to keep us fresh.
Yeah.
To bring consulting to our facilities to teach us what's going on there. And I do consulting with Didier, out on the road with Didier and show him the expertise and some of the things that he taught me.
Okay.
So it's really,
it's kind of come full circle in some
great.
ways. And you were talking, and there's like so many things I wanted to like pull more threads. So you were talking a little bit about it was your uncle, Eugene?
My uncle Eugene, yeah.
And he taught you how to make mozzarella?
Fresh mozzarella, yeah.
And that was like when you were younger and
when I was
like
in 20, when I was about 20.
When you were getting started? So
I started making mozzarella over at Giovanni's.
Yeah.
And then my uncle was like, listen, I could show you how to make it better. And he lived in Hoboken, and he worked for 2 places in Hoboken. Or I don't think he worked for them. He worked for Fiore's in Hoboken. And he I don't know if he worked there or if he was friends with them, but he learned from them how to make fresh mozzarella.
Okay.
And he taught me how to make it better. And we're known for our fresh mozzarella. Yeah. We're known for our bread.
Of course,
And those were like the staples. But it just, I kind of think about 24 years ago and I say, wow, you know, it's really great. But the key in any business, I really believe, and I strongly suggest this, is that you got to surround yourself with people that are better than you. Like me, like I wouldn't be able to do this podcast right now if I didn't trust the people that are behind the scenes. Like, there's a lot of people that don't really become successful because there's only 24 hours in a day. And if they're seasoning everything and they're sauteing everything and they're making every loaf of bread and they're, you got to let go. You got to trust and you got to hold people accountable. Yeah. And I hold those people accountable and was like, show me. Right. There was a guy by the name of Martin Daphner. He came in and he was very good with displays and merchandising. So we learned a lot from him. He spent like 16 years with us. You just
how did you learn to do that in the beginning? That value of bringing the good people in and finding quality employees, was that something that was
Well,
taught
it's
to
just
you,
it's
or you
just something that I kind of when I was going to culinary school and when I was working at Giovanni's and John Anthony's, everything was held to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I show you, you're going to take my job.
Okay.
If I don't know, I'm better, and sometimes if like people keep that person down in that level
Mm-hmm.
and they just keep, pressing that person down to give themselves and their own security. So
they don't want the competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with me, like what does it for me is, like we have people like Mike and we have Amanda and we have Liz, they're younger than me by 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And they're, Mike's, I think still in his 20s, he might be 30 now. I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like just seeing like how he's evolved with like our Facebook postings and our marketing and stuff like that, just letting people fly and it's like a flower, just seeing them blossom. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, like the first 10 years is like, okay, I got to get people that are more experienced than me.
Right. And that you trust.
That I trust and that are going to follow my direction. Mm-hmm. But do it through them, learn from them, document things through them, write recipes, keep things really tight and organized. Then it started going where they started retiring and phasing out. Mm-hmm. And then there's like a newer generation coming in. Mm-hmm. And then you try to like, I would rather, instead of a stack of $100 bills, I would rather see someone come into Joe Leone's and see their best. And if it's customer service, if it's washing a pot or a pan, if it's delivering food, whatever that is, and seeing them take it to the next level and take themselves and be successful and then go on and do other things and be successful. Mm-hmm. I love that because it's about building people and relationships.
Right.
So it kind of like works both ways.
Yeah. Well, and your success, their success is your success.
Absolutely.
And then you're just furthering the mission of helping people and growing
I
communities.
I would be lying to myself, lying to my friends, my family.
Yeah. If
I said I'm Joe Leone and stood out front and said, this is all me. Mm-hmm. Every recipe came from me. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's us. It's a team. It's a family.
Yeah.
And, we built that culture.
Yeah.
And I really, true to my core, believe, I would say most of my team members, I would say 95% of my team members believe in that culture.
You can feel it when you go in the store too.
Well, thank you.
I mean, the first time I was in the store, because I just moved down to the area, well, now it's almost been 10 years, but the first time I went in, I was like, oh, you just feel, and I have like a good instinct too. I think that helps. Mm. But, when you go into a little shop or a locally owned store, whatever it is, you can just sense like the people in there, like all the people in there are strategically chosen to be part of your team. And like you can sense the love.
We phase people out. Sometimes you get people, sometimes
right. Just, not always, but you can
sense what, you could
it.
Be successful somewhere else. This isn't for you 100%.
But yeah, you can tell the people that are there, at least that I've interacted with, they love being there. They love being part of your mission. It's actually pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Why I was so excited to bring you on. I'm wondering, like, the values that you're talking about have, like, not being the smartest person in the room, basically.
Sure.
Is that something that you were raised to believe? Like, was that an ingrained moral?
Well, you
at 21, that doesn't
you kind of reflect this. I mean, I'm learning disabled, and I have dyslexia.
Okay.
And I was able to maneuver my way through high school with help.
Okay.
Friends helped me.
Teachers
helped me. So I realized that and even to this day, like I have my assistant Anthony, like type out emails for me, or I don't understand this. Can you? I can read it, but because I've kind of grown.
Right.
But can you? I'm reading and comprehending it differently. Can you break it down for me and talk to me?
Yeah.
So I'm never afraid to ask for help. I've always come with the acceptance of the fact that I was born that way and that I could be successful and good at other things, but also don't be afraid to surround yourself with people that can help you along with things. And, I've realized that in the last like 2 or 3 years, looking at my oldest son, Joe Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
he's having a really hard time with his dyslexia and his learning disabilities, trying to go into the military, and he's
Mm-hmm.
having a hard time passing the test, but he's working really hard. And like he keeps saying to me, he's like, Dad, you know, you keep pushing for me to get this tutoring. You keep pushing me to go here to Marine Corps Military Academy. And you push for me because I want to surround him with the best people that can help him with that.
Right.
So I think a lot of that, to kind of give you, no one's ever asked me that question, but to think about and reflect about that, I've always walked on crutches,
Mm-hmm.
but the crutches were very sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to keep my crutches very sturdy when it comes to Joe Leone's. I don't really like to limp.
Yeah. Well, you picked people that were part of the crutch that could hold you up,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
it's not really like picking, and you know, you learn from people, you believe people, and they talk too much and they say they could do this, but I like the quiet type.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, let me see what you can do.
Right. Show me.
And I will embrace you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will give you credit when credit is due. I will tell you when something's wrong, or I'll tell you if I don't like something.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I've always had people around me that really brought something to Joe Leone's. And I would say that's one of my best ways of describing the success of Joe Leone's.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was very organic and building. And, you know, a lot of times, and I don't know everything, and, you know, like I run in fear. I always run in fear. I never get complacent. You know, when I open up the store at Joe Leone's every day, that could be the best day or that could be the worst day. I can upset somebody. You know, like
you don't know what you're walking into.
You know, I got an email from someone that said that they had a piece of bone in a chicken cutlet sandwich. Mm-hmm. You know, those things happen, but I have to find out why that bone was in that cutlet. Mm-hmm. Right. But like, I'm not going to obsess on that. I'm going to make it better. And I'm going to try to reach out to the customer and say, listen, I appreciate that you told me. Yeah. And it's about building the relationships, but it's just I don't know. It's all about not getting too ahead of yourself. Yeah. And a lot of times people try to do these big details. Oh my God, I'm going to have a big building someday. I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that and I'm going to have the best cheese. You got to build with little details.
They think about the end goal instead.
They think about the end goal.
Yeah. Instead of building.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of building little details. And you know, like, you know, it's really something about how the generation today thinks, about, you know, like I'll go to like an entrepreneurial round table or dais. I was in, where was I? I think I was in Ocean County College. And this kid says, how do I make as much money as you do? I notice what kind of car you drive. And I said to him, like, and I use my personal car, which I always drive, the Joe Leone van. Mm-hmm. But that was something that I'm in regular clothes and I'm like, you know, in the parking lot and this kid sees me pull up and he's like, how do I make more money? I go, real simple. How's that? You work so you can't work anymore. Mm-hmm. Go home, go to bed, come in and work harder. Yeah. And you work every day. Mm-hmm. And you build it until you're able to take your foot off the gas. Yeah.
I feel like a big part of what I sense, like I said before too, is that you worry about providing for others, and that has brought you kind of the return. You know, it wasn't about making millions. It was about bringing good food to
It's
to
just,
people.
you know, very, very simple. Make good food, give good service.
Yeah.
Real simple. Service and good quality food. Like food, just like the bone in the chicken. Yeah. You know, food is a natural product. There's mistakes that's going to happen. Someone's going to add too much salt. Yeah. Someone's going to complain. Someone's going to not like something. Mm-hmm. But if you give good service to someone and they're comfortable with you, you're not going to lose them as a customer.
Right.
But if you gave bad service and there's a complaint, they're not coming back.
Right.
You know, and I always say this to my team members. I want every single person that ever come to Joe Leone's to come in 500 times in their life. Mm-hmm. And I want them to tell 3 people. Mm-hmm. And those 3 people to tell 3 people. Mm-hmm. And that's the philosophy. Yeah. You never know if it's their first time in our organization.
Right.
And that's why we got to stay hungry.
And it's a culture too. I mean, it's definitely not just, the food is amazing, of course, and that's what, brings people back a lot of the time, but it's the culture. I mean, even just when I was telling people about interviewing you and sharing on social media, people are like, oh my God, I love him. Oh, I met him one time and I cried. I was so happy I met him. So people just, it's the essence of the business too that I think shines through.
It's something where coming from where I came from, I didn't come from nothing, but I didn't have a lot. So like I wasn't like real poor. I came from divorced parents. Split home. We really didn't have a lot of like lavish things and things like that. And what I provide now for my children is a lot more than I ever had. When you start a business at 21 and then you turn around and you're 45 and you're looking at all these things and people, I get humbled when you say these things to me. I get embarrassed sometimes because I don't want to hear that stuff about myself. I just want it to be, if you thought I'm nice and you cried when you met me, I'm humbled by that and I have gratitude. Yeah. But like I get embarrassed by that stuff, But when you build a business like Joe Leone's for 24 years, it could be really, really easy to go to the other side and to be like, oh, everything's good. I got all the employees there. I'm the boss and they do what I say. And, so I do things that are a little, what do they call it? There's a lot of boxing things in here. What do they call Rocky? Southpaw, orthodox. There's a lot of orthodox things that I do. Yeah. Right. It's
outside the box.
So one of the things that I do is when there's busy holidays or there's days that I know that from the history of the past of like 4th of July being busy and Christmas and things like that, I always save the shoes that I opened up Joe Leone's with.
Oh, really?
And I wear them those days.
To remind you.
I actually have them on now.
Oh, nice.
This is my first podcast. So I was kind of like nervous of coming up here. Like I didn't know what to expect with a podcast. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. Yeah. But like you could see they're all worn down. Yeah. And I probably wear these about 8-9 times a year.
To remind you of the beginning.
We have an orientation with our team members and we walk them through and we make the bread and we should kind of show them the history and what family is and what our excellence and what our mission statement is. And I always wear these shoes. Yeah. Every single day I come in for like 15 to 20 minutes and I'll wash dishes and I'll like wash a pot, pans, clean up and stuff. And I do that for me and I don't do that for my employees or my team members. We call them team members. Yeah. For my team members to see that, I do that for me to humble me. That's where I started. Yeah. And then every day that I'm present, I always make, like this year is going into our 24th year. I always make 24, started January 1st. Our anniversary is June 2nd. In that year, I make 24 loaves of bread and I put them into the markets. So like I'll go in and I'll just roll out 24 loaves of bread and I make sure that they get baked off and then they go into the store. It's keeping you grounded.
Reminded. Yeah, it's something I grew up actually with very similar philosophy on, you have to no matter how big or how successful or how much money you have, like remember where you came from.
Always.
And it sounds like you also instill that in your children.
I try to.
It's hard with this generation. I mean, I'm not too much older than them, but part of why I love the idea of connecting the community with something like a podcast is because it's so easy, I think, with our phones and technology to distract ourselves and distance ourselves from each other. And for you, it seems like that's such an important part of
Well, I mean, I always look at it very basic, and I always say we're all born round, little round babies. And we all die square. Yeah. And it's what you do in between. And it was funny. I've had some health issues Unfortunately, I have genetic issues with my heart and stuff. But I have good doctors around me. Again, surrounding yourself with the best that you possibly can have around you, and my spirituality, and praying, and really having a lot of faith to put it in God's hands, and go on that. And then it's worked out really well. I had triple bypass surgeries, and so I had wrote a very short note to my wife and one to my oldest son.
Before the surgery?
Before my surgeries. And I always hand them the same letter. I keep a copy of it. I always write them the same letter. And it's not this whole big long letter.
Yeah.
I say to them, I have one request. If I am to die, all I want, I don't want Joe Leone did this, and he did that, and he did this, and he did this, and he made people. He tried to serve God's people the best he could.
Simple.
That's my message. That's what I live for.
Yeah.
1975 to 2075. I hope I live to be 100.
Yeah.
But if something happens in between, that's the difference.
That's what you want your legacy to be.
Yes. I don't need the, where I was, what I did, how much money I made. That doesn't matter to me.
Right. Yeah. And to your point of the college student, I guess it was, that asked you about how you make that much money. I don't know that they have, I think your generation had more of that sense of you build it slowly, and then, grow and grow. Whereas I feel like now it's almost like, how do I get that quick million? How do I make money right away? And
what's the answer?
And and I think it's hard for this generation sometimes to see that the success is in the journey.
Right.
And that's kind of what you're talking about. And it's a lot of why I wanted to do the podcast too, because, the name of it is The Point is Progress. That
nice.
We're all kind of just here trying to live day by day, one day better than the last.
Absolutely.
Right. And so how do you feel, does your son know about your story, that you feel like the relationship between your dyslexia and how you kind of grew to using that same mentality? Does he have that sense?
I don't know if he gets it yet.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's lived it. When you live it.
Right.
I think that my wife and I have always I've always lived with the guilt, like, oh, he has this learning disability because of me. It's my genetics and everything else. So I kind of feel bad. So I would compensate different things for him. I've been backing off probably for the first time in the last 5-6 months, and saying, you know what, he's gonna be 21 years old in September, and he's got a lot to do on his own, and I gotta cut that rope, not a cord, a rope.
Yeah.
Because you just want him to be successful. He wants to serve our country, and I'm so proud that he wants to do that.
Yeah.
And but
you want to help him do that.
I want to help him, surround them with the best people, surround them, give him the best knowledge, make sure that he wants to do that, because you're sacrificing your life when you do something like that, which is a very honorable thing.
Yeah.
If I had one regret in my life, I would say one of my regrets would be not serving our country, because I really believe in service, and I owe that to this country, but it just wasn't in my cards. And, I'm very proud that my son is going after that, but I want to make sure that he wants to go for that he really wants to do that. It's so important.
And what's your advice to him, sticking with it, especially with, the intense, I guess, exams that they have to take? Like, what have you tried to instill in him?
I've tried to say, listen, you know what, we're behind you. You go to Huntington Learning Center, which has been doing great with him. I have a guy by the name of Jim that's helping out my son.
Yeah.
He's a very, very intelligent man, and he's been spending hours and hours with my son going over the ASVAB. And I really believe at the end of the day, he's going to be successful. He's going to run through the wall. He's not a quitter.
Yeah.
He's just been it's been a real pleasure so far raising him and seeing him go through some things. And you're going to have some bumps in the road. He wanted to go to ROTC and go to college, but he realized that, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
But he's still going for a goal at 20 years old, because there's a lot of 20-year-olds that are like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I as hard as I can get on him, I'm also proud of him.
Yeah. I guess probably good advice too for parents kind of in your shoes watching, their young 20 somethings getting ready to go into the career field and being supportive, but also kind of cutting that rope and letting them.
And I got my daughter Bella.
Go on.
She's 18. She's showing interest in administration of business. She's working with my brother-in-law John and Maria in the office, and so she has a lot of growing up to do, but she has interest. And one of the things is I don't really want my kids to work for me.
Okay.
I want them to work with me. And I don't want them to be like the golden spoon walking around like, my dad was Joe Leone. Well, this is what it is. So like I said to Bella, I'm like, save your money and buy in. If you want to buy in, you can buy into the company.
Earn your way in.
I'm not going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And, she's trying the best she can. She's sometimes she comes in late and sometimes, that's just the
18-year-old.
The 18-year-old
the
mentality. When I was 18, I wasn't like that, but I had different reasons. I didn't have that.
Right.
I didn't have the cushion of, I was like
Different
all or
world.
go, but she's starting to get it. She's, little by little, but I don't want them to ever be like, well, my dad used to do this, or my dad started this company, or my dad today. Make it yours.
Yeah.
You
you teach them to value the hard work.
Try to.
Yeah.
Try to.
And what has been, in the last 24 years or so, what has been like a challenge that maybe you didn't see coming or, you overcame that was, something that really stands out to you as maybe not a pivotal moment, but just definitely changed the course in terms of how you saw the business and your work ethic and...
Well, I saw something at 29 that I never thought I would see, and that's I had a bad case of atrial fibrillation.
Okay.
So I was hospitalized for the first time. I was told that I was close to dying of congestive heart failure.
At 29?
At 29,
wow.
And that was kind of crazy. And I've gotten through that, surgeries and open heart surgeries and stuff like that. That was something that was a little, that was something where when I was 29 turning 30, I said, I really have to make sure that my structure and the infrastructure Joe Leone's is in place to surpass me.
Okay.
Like I can't have the business rely on me so much. The business has to rely on our team. And that's something that I did. And I made a decision. It took me a good, I want to say it took me a good 8 years to make the decision that I needed an operations director.
Okay.
And I learned from that. And Liz became my operations director, very young at the time. She's put in 8 years, and she's extremely talented when it comes to her culinary knowledge. And I think I put a little bit too much on her. And then we have another gem that was with us, and that's Amanda Coletta, which is so what I did a couple of years ago, it took me, because you're learning through and doing these moves. I cut the cord in half and I said, okay, Amanda, you're in charge of the front of the house. Liz, you're in charge of the back of the house. You focus on the back of the house. And what happens is I've learned a lot by getting consultants that come in about building that structure, where it helps me be like, I can't even tell you what a counter person makes. I'm not, like if somebody walks up to me and says, hey, Joe, I asked my manager for off on Friday, and I can't help you. I'll talk to you about the meatballs. I'll talk to you about the sausage and peppers. I'll talk to you about, how we do something, but come from the managerial side of things, I've had to change those things, and I saw at a certain point, I never realized until that happened that I was a micromanager. And I don't want to micromanage my company.
So open your eyes in a way. It was, obviously not something good to go through, but almost a blessing in a different way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You'll learn. And I smelt the roses of like, you know what? My son has a little league game.
Yeah.
I'm going, and I'm going to prepare myself that I can leave the store and go to that baseball game.
And trust. Yeah.
And, and time is important.
Yeah.
So I try to spend 1 hour individual time with each one of my children.
Mm-hmm.
I try to give my wife the time that she needs from me.
Yeah.
And, it's just that was a pivoted move.
Yeah.
Superstorm Sandy was just like no other.
Yeah.
I looked at my building. I looked at my catering kitchen. I looked at our bakery, and I think we lost 2 roof tiles. And we were probably about 10 feet away from being flooded in our catering kitchen off of 35 North.
It's lucky.
Lucky, whatever you want to call it. There was a bubble over us.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do? I had to pivot. I had to say, okay, I got all this food. I have no electric.
Mm-hmm.
We'll close for 10 days. Well, let's make sure that all of our team members are okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's okay, so once the team members were okay and they were situated, everybody didn't lose their houses and stuff, and some did. Some people needed generators, and some people needed food and everything else. And then, okay, we got to take care of the community.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people lost a lot of stuff. So I said, you know what? Let's take all of our inventory.
Yeah.
And we're going to
push it out
and get all the food out to them. And we didn't make Joe Leone food. We took cold cut sliced turkey and, put it on top of bread and hot turkey sandwiches and, got it out, made soup out of everything and cleared the shelves of pastas and, and that's just what you do.
Yeah.
You got to help your environment and help the people that are around you. The community's big.
Yeah. For sure.
And we are one. The community's been very, very good and very welcoming since I opened up in 1997.
I was actually curious about that. How'd you pick Point Pleasant? Because that was the first.
Well, my grandmother had a house on Trenton Avenue in Point Pleasant Beach.
Okay.
Actually, my father-in-law, when I was dabbling in opening up was when I was going to culinary school and working at John Anthony's and stuff like that. He was in Point Pleasant and he goes, I think I found the spot. So my father-in-law gets the credit for that. And my father-in-law was very helpful in the beginning where he helped me financially with getting things off the ground and reinvesting. He was just like, listen, I believe in you. You're doing really good. And I wasn't even married to his daughter at that time.
Oh, really?
He really was. He's a great man.
I was going to say, because you were like 21.
I was 21.
So
I didn't get married until I was 24.
Okay. Wow, so he really saw something in the idea and
the work ethic and stuff like that. He's a great man. Came from not nothing. Came from means. His dad was a police officer in Newark, and he went to college, and he was a successful engineer, and he's just a phenomenal person. And he was really a guy that helped me fly. He was there. He had my back, and was blessed to have his son join on. And that was really, really cool.
So he found that spot.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Called me up before cell phones. I think I got the spot. You got to come over the bridge. I think this would be a good start for you.
So you were
here.
Scouting at the time.
Oh yeah, I was looking for locations and stuff like that. I was looking at Lincroft, and then I was, so. It was
just that he found it. It just felt like the right location.
He just said, take a look at this. I don't know. Here's the realtor's number, and he was phenomenal.
Had you spent time in like the Point or this area before that, like growing up?
Well, coming down the shore and seeing my grandmother, my dad's mom, they had a house in Point Pleasant Beach.
You said
always liked Point Pleasant Beach and Trenton Avenue. Yeah. My wife's born and raised in Brielle.
Okay. So there's roots here.
There's a lot of roots here. Yeah, but they still call me a Benny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they still call me a Benny. So I'm from up north.
Okay. That's funny.
What was I going to say?
And then how'd you pick Sea Girt as like number 2?
Sea Girt, Joe Eugene is amazing. Joe Eugene bought the liquor store, and it was called Junko's Bottle and Beef. Okay. And Joe Eugene bought it from Bob Junko. And Joe had a deli, butcher, grocery. And he calls me up one night and he says, I got this idea. Come down and see me. He goes, what do you think? We put a little Joe Leone's here, grab and go. Mm-hmm. Really weird how this happened. We'll do some grab and go. You package up everything in Point Pleasant. You bring it here, and I'll sell it in my register. And I saw an opportunity, and I said to my brother-in-law, John, I said, why don't we put a little store here? Mm-hmm. So we wound up putting a little store. And again, we had some really good people help build that. Yeah. Good customer service. And we brought the culture over there, more of a hometown feel.
Yeah, definitely with Sea Girt. Yeah.
Sea Girt was very hometown feel. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And that's how I had to make the store of what Joe's original idea was just grab and go.
Okay.
Where we have packaged food where you go and you grab, and we took the service aspect out of it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sort of full circle with
circle
that.
on how it is. And,
Yeah.
and I was discussing with Mike on the way up here was the fact that it was like, wow, like we're actually more profitable because we have less weight over there. We have less overhead over there.
Yeah.
And the grab and go, they don't have to wait for someone to get the meatballs for
Right.
them. They can grab the meatballs and the sauce. Do you shop there?
Yeah, that's my store.
That's your go-to
Yeah.
store? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, how's it working now? Good?
Yeah.
The grab and go?
Yeah, everything's perfect. I mean,
Cool.
it's seamless to me, but have you ever thought about expanding more beyond that, or you like the two and been comfortable with?
It's really hard. We have so many opportunities and so many people say, come on, open a store here. Management's very tough.
Yeah.
Management's very tough. We have really good team members that are into the culture, but you know what? When culture spreads too much,
You start to lose.
sometimes you start losing some stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe another location in the Southern Monmouth, county if we want to open up, but the Sea Girt side is really too small.
Yeah.
To keep to do that. I mean, this was and then another part of your question about craziness is COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, totally like, whoa, like I wasn't trained for this.
Yeah, totally threw
Like this
a
was
wrench.
totally like, my team members that are scared and they're concerned and they didn't want to come to work. And we still have team members at home.
Yeah.
That aren't officially terminated. But they're,
not comfortable
and, and I don't judge them and they're welcome to come back at any time. But it's going on a year now, but things are starting to open up. But then there's been a lot of people that wanted to continue to work and because we're an essential business and we kept it going.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to close. And there's just so many different things and procedures we had to put in place and people lined up outside and, only 10 people out in the store. Then now we put it up to 15 people out in the store at a time. And, next week we're going to go to 20. And, as things start opening up, hopefully we'll get back to some type of a normal.
Yeah. When you're talking, I hear a lot about just the idea that you're not just running a business, you're running relationships. You're running people's emotions too. You're managing emotions and reactions, not just the people that are working with you and for you, but your customers.
I mean, I had some team members come to me like, Joe, I'm really scared. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what to tell you, but like, I'm going to still keep going.
Yeah.
We closed the store to the outside where customers weren't coming into the store and we just did curbside. And I mean, I saw my team band together like unbelievable. And
they knew how to pivot.
They did know how to pivot.
Yeah.
And, under the direction of my brother-in-law, John, and Liz and Amanda, I will give them the credit for it. Mike in marketing, they really, Anthony, they really, really came together and we had people in our catering sales office that they were very scared. And I told them, I don't judge them. They got to do what they got to do, but they had to train new team members from downstairs and in other parts to take the orders over the phone, which was totally different.
Yeah.
So like if you wanted a loaf of bread, we're bringing it out to your car. If you wanted a whole dinner for your family, we're bringing it out to your car.
Yeah.
So, and then, we kept that. I'm very proud that we kept everybody working. We didn't lay anyone off. We did terminate a few people during this time for cause.
Right.
It just wasn't working out. And
different reasons.
For legit cause.
Yeah.
And Anthony, my assistant, also runs our human resource department. They're very good with thorough documentation and making sure. And that's where it comes with a point where I'm not the best writer. Right. So like you got someone that's good with human resources.
Yeah.
That's you're keeping everybody in their lane.
Yeah.
And I basically stayed home for a long period of time because I was afraid I was going to get COVID because my cardiologist called me up and they were like, you get this. We don't know what's going to happen to you.
Right. You're high risk.
Right. So, and I just got vaccinated and, thank God I'm doing all right. And I just had my second shot on Monday.
Oh, that's good.
And, so
I know a lot of people are getting some bad symptoms from the second.
I got bad symptoms from the first one.
Oh, really? haven't
The first
heard
ones,
that
but
yet.
my antibodies were pretty
Yeah.
strong. Like maybe I might have had it at some point. I don't know,
Yeah,
but they were just saying that it's a good sign that you get it on the first and not the second. I'm
Yeah.
feeling a little weak and lethargic right now, but it's all good.
Well, I appreciate you
Of
powering
course,
through.
of course.
I was curious. I wanted to go back. So it sounds like it also helped when you were 29. You kind of learned you saw that you were micromanaging, and you said it took 8 years to get comfortable. Was it 8 years the process?
8 years to really feel comfortable. I really trust Liz.
Yeah.
Still trusted her, and some of the team members didn't really like it. You got this young female that's very smart, very intelligent, has different managerial styles, but I really trust that she can really be all honed in it.
Yeah.
And then you had Amanda that was very very good on the front of the house and calming people down, and I saw great shining in her.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit to kind of cut the cord there.
Get used to. Yeah, I was going to ask you how was that transition, from someone who saw himself as sort of micromanaging to sort of
very hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard to
what were the things?
Team members that have worked with me for a long period of time, now they can't come to me. They have to go through them or go through Liz. And she took a big brunt for it. I mean, but she's still here.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed to have her. And I'm blessed to have, and she adapts really well, and she adapted to, not saying I don't want to say that she couldn't handle the operation director role, but I just think it's better for the company to divide it in two.
Yeah, you saw a need for
two,
roles,
just keep it and the two of them are working great together.
Yeah.
As far as I see.
Yeah.
But
that transition for you was tough.
It was tough, and sometimes I do steamroll things.
Yeah.
I think there's something in when you're an owner of a company and you're riding the responsibility of something as grand as it is, dealing with 160 families.
Yeah.
Not team members, families.
Right.
And people that depending on you, there are times where I steamroll. And I don't like to steamroll. There's times where I make people do things again. I get upset and I get on them about it. And, but.
You care about quality.
I care about everything.
Yeah.
Because every team member that worked since 1997 to working right now are ingredients of our success. Some left off good, some left off bad, some are still with us. So we really, but we need to keep that as a reminder.
Yeah.
We need to keep that as a reminder.
What do you think were the, tenets for you to get through that and relinquish that? Were there things that you had to learn about yourself and do differently, or values that you had to kind of?
Sure. To this day, I meet with a guy by the name of Brian Price, and he runs a thing called Top Mental Game in Sea Girt, and he's a coach that coach leadership. He's a West Point graduate, and he works with Seton Hall. He works with kids. He works with people all over the country. But he's more on the athletic side of things. But I relate a lot to athletics and sports. And I looked at him and I was just like, you know what? He will be a great tool because he's helping me through the process of in my mid 40s and going beyond to make me a better communicator to my teams, especially to Liz and Amanda and to my brother-in-law, John. I mean, I know my brother-in-law, John, gets very frustrated with me sometimes on my communication skills aren't always the best. I'm always I have expectations that I expect people to just know. And I get frustrated and he's like, and my brother-in-law, John, has patience, unbelievable patience, but it's
a good combination.
A great combination. We're good yin and yang.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
He's very, but but I noticed myself doing that. So I work with Brian
Yeah,
probably once a month.
How'd you come up with that idea? Did you seek
So
it out yourself?
we always like to do different things like manager retreats, and he went to a couple manager retreats, and I said, you know what, I really like this guy, and he has good foundation. He has the military component, and I just bounce things off of him, and you know, what are personal goals, and he works on different types of stuff with me, and mental strength, top mental game. He gets me mentally there, and you know, every day's a process. I want to be a better leader. I want to be a better example. I don't want to steamroll. I don't want to micromanage. I don't want to step on everyone's toes. I don't want to sugarcoat things. I don't want to kiss people's butts. I just want to have a good gel.
I think it's telling also, again, you know, speaking to younger people who want to be successful, you know, that mental game, that mental strength, the growth process, I think that's so huge. And I don't know that there's a lot of attention put on that. And I wonder what I was curious, like, what's the best thing you've gotten? What value do you feel like has been?
Oh, like we talk about values.
Yeah.
We talk about values, and you know, it's really what we're trying to do and we're working on is identifying that expectation weakness that I have, if that makes sense. Like I have a weakness of that. I just have high expectations for people, and sometimes they don't reach my expectations, and I get disappointed.
Yeah,
and I got to understand that people are different. Surround myself with good people,
right? But
learning to pull back a little bit, and it's worked, and I got a good support system around me, so I'm blessed on that.
And do you think
but like when you say like the younger generation, what is success?
Yeah,
is success a pile of money and a big house and a car? No, success is I tried the best I possibly could and did everything I could, and I put my head on a pillow and I'm asleep in 5 minutes.
I'm proud of what I've built, regardless of what
I never will go to sleep not being tired.
Yeah. And
because
I think,
that's what I want to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that energy around the growth process. Like, even, you know, if 20 years ago, if someone had said to you that you would have had a coach for, you know, mental training and mental strength and growing in terms of your expectations. I don't think I would have believed that. You don't think so?
But you learn from it.
Yeah, you definitely do.
You know, so.
And that came out of using that person for coaching the team.
Right. But surrounding yourself again with other people, other layers.
Yeah.
You know, bakers, Didier, you know, different chefs, taking my team out to dinners and saying, well, what's in that? You like this? Can we recreate this? So, you know, what do you think we could do? You know, and how we, you know, just seeing like the team get involved in marketing our company on Facebook, working with Mike, and you know, you walk away feeling proud.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I know I've asked you a lot of questions. I appreciate your openness so much. And actually, I did have a question I was thinking of before. If you had to pick one meal in the store that you could only eat that meal for the rest of your life.
Oh, my gosh.
What do you think?
Oh, man, what would I think? I would take some linguine.
Yeah.
In the back. Take some of our broccoli rabe.
Okay.
Saute a little garlic in olive oil, and I would take the best extra virgin olive oil and just pour that on top, and just add some nice grated cheese to it, and I'd be happy.
Nice. It's simple, but
a piece of bread.
Good. Simple,
piece of bread. Good. But thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I hope
absolutely.
I hope you got out what you wanted from me.
I think it's several of the things that you talked about are things that are good reinforcements for me, and I think people are going to definitely enjoy hearing about. And I have what I call my like quick 5.
Okay.
So first is a guilty pleasure you have right now.
A guilty pleasure that I have right now?
Yeah.
My nephew is dating this girl, Jen, that her and her mother make the best chocolate chip cookies.
Okay.
And I hide them from my kids, and I hide them from everyone.
Did you know?
She brings them over, and I hide them.
Nice. Okay.
Those are my pleasures. Those are my little, you know.
Very good. Very good. Okay. Favorite shop item?
Joe Leone shop item?
Yeah.
Favorite shop item. We have these little torts that have Nutella in them.
Oh.
It's in a little. We get them in from a bakery up north, up in New York,
Wow.
and they have a little piece of hazelnut in them. They're outstanding for a sweet. I like the sweets.
Yeah.
And I love. You said one.
That's okay. You can name another. I'm sure people will love to hear it.
I love our tomato petals.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think I've had them
are
yet.
great.
I'll
Our
have
roasted
to
tomato
pick
petals
some
are
up.
phenomenal.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. Who would you love to have a meal with, living or dead?
Who would I love to have a meal with, living or dead? And it had to be a human?
No, you can take the question however you want. Yeah.
I would. Let me go back to that one.
Okay.
The next one.
Yeah, no problem. Are you reading or watching anything fun right now you want to share?
I am reading a book by the name of David Goggins. It's Can't Hurt Me.
Okay. What's it about?
He's a Navy SEAL.
Oh, nice.
And he talks about military, and he talks about different strategies and how he was able to overcome his learning disabilities and getting through the ASVAB. So it relates a lot to my son.
Yeah. Is your son reading it too?
I've been trying to get him to read it, but he's just been kind of like boo-hooing it, and I get it.
Just got to leave it on the kitchen counter.
But I'm learning. I'm learning, and I'm understanding, and I'm trying to. I'm interested on what my son's going to be doing in his future.
Yeah. So you're reading up about it. What's the name of the book?
Can't Hurt Me.
Can't Hurt Me. I haven't heard that one yet. And the last one is, if you could sum up your life motto in a few words, what would it be?
A family. Forget about me. I love you.
I did see a video about that. Mm-hmm. Did you make that up?
I didn't. My one of my closest friends, Mike Manhart, came up with, and Father Stan Fortuna came up with it. It's a great mantra that I try to live by. It's for selfless behavior. Yeah. Putting others before yourself, and just basically saying, forget about me. I love you. We would have to spend an hour on that one.
I was going to bring it up. I figured we probably would, but I'm glad it came up here.
But we'd have to spend an hour on that mantra. But it stands for forget about me. I love you. Yeah. You know, put others before yourself and to live as selfless as you possibly can. Yeah. The person who I would like to sit down and have dinner with would be Jesus. Okay. I would love to sit down with him and have one-on-one time with him while I'm alive here. Yeah. Right? Yeah. While I'm alive here. I go to daily mass, and I do have the Eucharist, and I celebrate that, but I would love to just sit down and just, like we're doing right now, and have a conversation. And I don't think I would ask him questions. Just hear what he has to say. I'd like to hear what he has to say about me and how I could be better, and stuff like that. That would be great. I feel like that's a perfect point to kind of wrap up on, because so much of what you've talked about is learning from your experiences and having people share with you knowledge and information that makes you a better person and makes you able to serve the people that you love. Yeah. And to me, that's something I would ask him. How do I serve your people more? What do I do more? What else do you want me to do? Yeah. Because I hear things in my heart and I hear things in my mind in prayer, but there's so much distraction and there's so much hate and there's so much nastiness going on, and there's so much, you can't take that vacuum away sometimes, and your mind wanders. I would just love to there's nothing like sitting down and talking to someone, and I love the vocation of priests and nuns and stuff, but you know what, you can't have a conversation as a heart to heart as it was for the big guy. Yeah, no, I think that's great. I so appreciate you coming in. This was so enjoyable. Thank you. I love that you were my first guest. It makes me so happy. And I love that you were my first interviewer for a podcast. I hope I did pretty well. I guess I'm going to try to maybe do this podcast thing. It looks pretty cool. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So thank you so much. Thank you. I actually think our families would probably love each other because there's so many similar values, and it's great. It's so much of why I wanted to do this. Have me back. We'll talk about family. Yeah, listen, we'll have you back for sure if you're willing to come back. Yeah, I'll come back. We'll talk about. We'll do a whole segment on family.
All
if
right,
you
maybe
want.
we'll bring food and enjoy some.
Yeah, Mike. Why don't we bring any food up here? What the heck are we doing?
I
over
watched
here?
the video on the bread. I'm like really excited to try to make my own now because in doing the research. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you so much.
No
I
problem.
Really
My pleasure.
It.
My
And,
pleasure. Take
hopefully I'll
care.
be able to see you soon.
Yes, you will.
Thank you.
Good.
Awesome.